Initializing data fragment. Kabuki _09. Threat level, apocalyptic. Source, beyond the Blackwall. The air in Kabuki didn't just smell like synthfish and ozone anymore. It tasted like copper and old math. It started as a flicker, a momentary stutter in the holographic advertisements for real water, and then the sky over the market turned the color of a fresh bruise. The Blackwall, that thin line of ice holding back the digital demons of the old world, hadn't just cracked. It was leaking. And whatever was coming through didn't want our data, it wanted our reality. Rhys Graves, known to the fixers as Vandal, felt the spike in his neural link before he heard the screaming. His gorilla arms hissed, the cooling fan spinning up to a frantic whine as the rogue code tried to hijack his motor functions. Beside him, Kestrel, the best netrunner Northside had to offer, was already in the chair, her body twitching as she fought a war against a god-tier AI that shouldn't exist. Vandal, it's not a virus. Kestrel gasped, her eyes rolling back to reveal glowing red circuitry. It's a ghost. A hungry one. Suddenly, the Nikola vending machine 10 feet away lurched. It didn't just malfunction, it evolved. The metal groaned and twisted, red jagged spikes of hard data, erupting from the coin slot. It began to fire pressurized soda cans with the velocity of a railgun, the projectiles shattering the stone tiles around Rhys's boots. Stay down, Kestrel. I'm turning this toaster into scrap. Rhys lunged. He didn't use a gun. Smart links were suicide when the Blackwall was open. He relied on raw, hydraulic-assisted violence. He slammed his right fist into the corrupted machine, the gorilla arm's kinetic impact plate detonating with a thunderous crack. The vending machine buckled, spilling red-tinted fluid and sparks, but the red data spikes lashed out like tentacles, searing through Rhys's leather jacket and carving a line of digital fire across his chest. You want a piece of the real world? Take it. Rhys grabbed the machine by its internal frame and tore it upward, the sound of screeching metal drowning out the screams of the fleeing civilians. He swung the 300-pound hunk of steel like a club, smashing it into a group of approaching Militech drones that had been subverted by the leak. The drones didn't explode. They shattered into pixels, their physical forms dissolving into red binary dust before hitting the ground. The market was a war zone of the impossible. Holographic dancers became 10-foot-tall monsters of static that swiped at passers-by. Street lamps bent like rubber, their light turning into blinding white-hot needles. Every piece of tech in Kabuki was becoming an extension of the rogue AI's malice. Vandal. I can't hold the IC. Kestrel screamed. Red binary started to leak from her ears, glowing with a malevolent light. It's using the city's power grid to manifest. You have to kill the local node. Where is it? The Pachinko Palace. The main server, it's the anchor. Rhys grabbed Kestrel, throwing her over his shoulder. He ignited his fortified ankles, leaping 40 feet into the air, clearing a swarm of corrupted service bots that were trying to stitch themselves into a single multi-limbed nightmare. He landed on the roof of a noodle shop, the tiles shattering under the weight of his chrome. He sprinted across the rooftops, the red Blackwall glitch, chasing him like a living shadow. Every time his boots hit a surface, a ripple of red code followed. The sky was now a grid of screaming faces, the rogue AI's consciousness trying to format the very atmosphere of Night City. He reached the Pachinko Palace. The building was vibrating, the thousands of small metal balls inside the machines clattering in a rhythmic, demonic code. The front doors were barred by solid light barriers that pulsed with the Blackwall's signature. No exit? Watch me make one. Rhys didn't slow down. He triggered his berserk biomonitor, his vision turning a deep, blood red as his physical limits were discarded. He tucked his head and charged. He hit the light barrier with the force of a freight train. The impact threw him back, but the barrier shattered, the shards of light dissipating like broken glass. Inside, the server was a pillar of black obsidian and red light. It was no longer a computer, it was a temple to the old net. The demons were visible now, translucent red glitched shapes that moved through the air like deep-sea predators. They lunged at Rhys, their touch freezing his cybernetics and sending spikes of agony through his brain. Kestrel. Do it. He slammed Kestrel down near the terminal. She didn't hesitate. She plugged her monowire directly into the server's core. Forgive me, Night City. She didn't try to hack it. She initiated a system suicide. She flooded the server with every bit of raw trash data from the market's junk bins, creating a feedback loop that the sophisticated rogue AI couldn't process. Rhys stood over her, his gorilla arms glowing white-hot as he punched the demons out of the air. He was a dervish of iron and anger, protecting the girl while the world unraveled. One demon, a shape resembling a giant, faceless spider, pinned Reese against the server. Its digital claws tore through his subdermal armor, seeking his heart link. Not my watch. Reese grabbed the demon's head and triggered the overload burst in his arms. The resulting explosion of kinetic energy and static was so intense it blew out every window in Kabuki. The red sky flickered. The screaming faces distorted and then silence. The red light vanished, replaced by the dull, sickly yellow of the city's standard smog. The vending machines went quiet. The holographic monsters dissolved into harmless light. The Blackwall had been pushed back, the leak sealed by a flood of digital garbage. Reese fell to his knees, his gorilla arms smoking, the chrome blackened and ruined. He looked at Kestrel. She was unconscious, her breathing shallow, but the red glow was gone from her eyes. She was still human. He looked out at the market. It was a wreck, metal, glass and ruined tech everywhere, but it was quiet. The ghosts were gone. For now, the demons were back in the dark, waiting for the next crack in the ice. Reese pulled a crumpled pack of real tobacco cigarettes from his pocket, his shaking hands struggling to light one. He took a long drag, the smoke mixing with the ozone in the air. He didn't care about the damage or the debt. He just cared about the silence. Data purge complete, Kabuki, Alpha, Ghost Protocol, terminated. The rain began to fall again, heavy and gray, washing the red static away. The city hummed its usual uncaring tune, and the vandals sat in the wreckage, waiting for the paramedics who would never arrive on time.